Welcome to Ain't No Way MMA. Today we're just going to run through people I think are going to be stars in 2025 when they weren't as much so in 2024. Starting off the list, we've got Gregory Rodrigues. You have no idea how good Gregory Rodrigues is. Oh my God. I'm telling you, Gregory Rodrigues is one of the greatest middleweights alive right now. No one wants to recognize it. You'd be like, Bruno Ferreira knocked him unconscious. I don't care. It's a fluke. If you watch any Bruno Ferreira fight, he swings to the fences. He gets good knockouts sometimes, but usually it's very fluky stuff. It's nothing that's crazy, outrageous, comes off the wall, right? But Gregory Rodrigues has the best credentials of any MMA fighter I've personally seen when it comes to the middleweight division. You've got good striking. You've got insane grappling credentials. I can't think of another guy in the UFC with better jiu-jitsu credentials than Gregory Rodrigues. He has amazing judo as well to go with the jiu-jitsu. And he's a good wrestler. I mean, he's got every checkbox marked off. Not to mention, he's good on the microphone. He looks like Obama. And he's generally just really fun to watch. He's exciting. He throws heavy hands, and when he's not throwing heavy hands, he's flipping you over his head with a judo throw. There's no downside to Gregory Rodrigues. And the only problem I have with him specifically is that he's gotten chinned before. But every loss he had in the UFC felt like a fluke to me. None of them felt solid. No specific reason for him losing. Like Bruno Ferreira came off the cage wrong, didn't duck out when he got caught and got knocked unconscious. And then against Armin Petrosian, he beat the tar out of him and then lost a decision due to judges being idiotic. On another note, Gregory Rodrigues is 32. I felt like he's been in the sport for way longer, and he looks way older. When he started in the UFC, he was 27, 28, and he looks about 40 at that age. So either it's the SARMs or the steroids. I don't care. He hasn't popped for him, so I don't care. Keep fighting Gregory Rodrigues. I could see you being a star in 2025. Autistic Arnold Allen, I love you so much. This is the most autistic fighter I've ever seen in my life. He talks like he's never talked his entire life. His mic skills are absolutely abysmal, but it makes it more genuine. He's very humble. He's a very sweet guy, and he's really fast, really good at striking. I think he's the most versatile guy in featherweight. When you say jack of all trades, that's what comes to mind. Arnold Allen immediately. He's not amazing at one thing. Considering he's only at the age of 30, he still has room to grow, and he's one of the best English athletes in the entire UFC right now. I know what you're going to say. Oh, he lost against Max Holloway and Movsar Evliev. When he fought against Movsar Evliev, I thought he won. Just like I thought Aljamain Sterling beat Movsar Evliev. I think Movsar Evliev has gotten off with some crazy wins he should have never gotten. Damage trumps control, in my opinion, and damage was done by Arnold Allen, not Movsar Evliev. But let's pretend like that didn't happen. He was the closest guy to beating Max Holloway before Max Holloway got chinned by Ilia Topuro. And it shows because Arnold Allen got the skills in every category. He's got a great chin. No one finishes him. He's never been finished. And he's exciting. He's genuine. He's humble. I could see him chaining a win streak together and fighting for the belt again. I don't know if he beats a guy like Topuria, but I could see him being way more of a social media star and well-recognized in the UFC community in 2025. Next at number 3, I've got Payton Talbott. Payton Talbott is a really good talent in the lightweight division. I know he's got a hype train right now, but I think it's justified. He's really flashy at the right times. A lot of UFC fighters try to force the flashiness. I've said that in prior videos with Mauricio Ruffi. They try to be flashy when they rock their opponent instead of getting the finish out. I don't think Payton Talbott is concerned about being flashy. He just is flashy. The way he mixes up the striking with the grappling, he's extremely solid. I've seen no weaknesses in this game since he's joined the UFC, and he's really young into his career still. He's a guy I could see, on the mic, he's funny. He's out doing dating shows on bigger YouTube channels. He's a guy who can push his own name out there without being just a fighter. But as just a fighter, he's still extremely exciting and everyone talks about him. I think he gets that bump in 2025. I think he gets ranked. The only concern is his activity level. He's doesn't really care about being active that much, but he is fighting at the beginning of this year. Hopefully he gets 3 fights in this year. If he does, I could see him getting into the top 10. And if he does, he's definitely going to be a star in 2025. And number 2, we've got John Silva. I really like John Silva, Gene Silva, whatever the hell you want to call him. I do not care. Don't care. Still don't care. Regardless, he's one of the fighting nerds. He's got an eccentric personality. Very respectful. Reminds me a lot of Charles Oliveira in that way. Always likes to shake hands and tap the gloves in between rounds. A little bit too much to an extent, like he did with Drew Dober. I think with that humbleness, with how much he's willing to admit he needs to work on certain things, he's only going to improve more and more. I think the thing that pushes him the most is the fact he's able to move between weight classes. A lot of guys can't finish a guy like Drew Dober. John Silva did. And he came in and did it pretty flawlessly. I know it was a cut, but he barely got touched in that fight. Most guys can't stand and strike with Drew Dober. John Silva could have easily taken him down and tried to finish the fight from there, but no, he stood, striked with him, and it was a great fight. And I'm really excited for John Silva's future. I think if he continues to push as he did this year, he'll be a guy in the top, I'd say top 6 or 7, probably higher than a guy like Payton Talbott because he's more active. Because his next fight, I imagine, would be a top 15, or if just a guy is just outside of the top 15. John Silva is a really good talent, and I think I see him going really high in the sport more than any of the other fighting nerds. And number 1, all aboard the glaze train. I don't care. Joshua Van. Joshua Van, I'm telling you guys, you don't understand. You'll never get it. Active as hell. I know Charles Johnson is technically just as active and has a win over him, but the wins aren't reflective of each other. Charles Johnson's wins are exciting, yes, but they weren't the same caliber of fighters that they were fighting. And not only that, wasn't as exciting, didn't push the pace as much, and he's a lot older. Joshua Van's 22, 23, piecing fools up, high pace, high energy. His attitude's great. He acts a little bit cocky, but if you can back it up, what's the problem? I don't see the problem. I could see him being he's the first guy in flyweight I've seen that I actually think about and I go, oh, I'm excited to watch him fight. I don't think that about Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson's fun, but he's not a guy where I'm like, oh, I can't wait to watch Charles Johnson fight. I don't give a fuck. I want to go see Joshua Van fight, and I don't care if that's glazing. No me importa. I want to see Joshua Van fight, and he fights often, excitingly, and he pushes the pace. He wants to fight more in 2025 than he did 2024, whereas guys like Carlos Prates are like, I fought a lot this year. I'm maybe only want to fight 2 times next year. When you see guys doing that, you kind of question how much hunger and drive they have for the sport of MMA. You don't question that about Joshua Van. And I could see him top 5 at the end of the year next year if he continues to chain wins together. So he's a guy I see being a star in 2025. I don't think I forgot anyone. I think that's a good list. But if I did and you disagree, let me know in the comments, and I'll make sure I prove you wrong.